story starts with Secretary Yoon Seo-ha and her boss, director Kwon Do-yoon. He asks what she wants him to do, they share a brief kiss, and she asks to get closer, but instantly regrets everything and wishes she could turn back time to before that night. In the present, Yoon tells the director that their baby is gone, meaning nothing connects them anymore. She begs him to let her go and thinks to herself that she must end this relationship now before she ruins his perfect life. Then we rewind to how it all began. Yoon enters Kwon's office with a report, and he immediately scolds her for being late. She explains she organized it carefully, and he shuts her down, saying he never asked for that. Cold boss mode activated. She apologizes again, and reminds him they need to leave for a forum in Jeju and the car is waiting. As he puts on his suit, she fixes his pocket square, and completely loses her mind because he smells good, and is way too close. Her heart races, her thoughts disappear, and he just turns around and tells her to leave, while she looks emotionally defeated. In the car, Kwon suddenly asks if she changed her perfume. She says she does not wear perfume and offers to change her body wash, and he tells her to forget it because it is distracting. "Sir, please breathe." At the event, people whisper about how handsome he is, and we learn he is famous, powerful, rich, and absolutely out of Yoon's league. He is her long-time secret crush of 2 painful years, and she is sure he barely notices she exists. Then Kang Hyungmin appears, Kwon's old classmate and rich heir. He flirts with Yoon, compliments her name, complains about how difficult Kwon is, offers emotional support like a drama lead, asks her out for a drink, refuses to accept no, hints that he knows embarrassing stories about Kwon's past, and just when things get awkward, Kwon shows up out of nowhere and roasts him by saying he still acts like a dog chasing everything in sight. Kwon coldly says Chairman Kang sighs every time he sees him because of the non-stop scandals he causes, asking if he still cannot separate work from pleasure. Then he turns to Yoon and says they need to leave immediately and head straight to the airport. Kang laughs and says Kwon is misunderstanding things, claiming women approach him because they like him and that it is not his fault he is so charming. Kwon shuts that down instantly, saying they like Kang's money, not him, then leaves with Yoon while Kang mutters to himself that Kwon is overreacting because he touched what he thinks is his property, calling it embarrassing, and promising that he will cross the line with Yoon no matter what. In the car, Yoon sits in front, thinking about the heavy rain, when Kwon interrupts and asks what Kang said to her since they talked for a while. She replies that it was nothing important, just that he was his high school classmate, and Kwon immediately corrects her, saying they only attended the same school and never even spoke, warning her to ignore anything Kang says in the future. She agrees, thinking that the director has been in a heavy mood lately. She then receives a message saying all flights are cancelled due to the storm, and she calmly explains that she will book a nearby hotel so they can leave in the morning. At the hotel, Yoon finishes check-in and tells Kwon his room is on the 21st floor, but he stares at her for a moment and tells her they should go together, leaving her confused about his mood. In the elevator, a woman and her children squeeze in, making it so crowded that Yoon is pressed against Kwon, and she apologizes awkwardly because she has no space to move. Back in her room, Yoon finally relaxes, but cannot stop blushing about being stuck to him like that, then reminds herself to quickly wash up and deliver his new suit since tomorrow's schedule has changed. In Kwon's room, he thinks maybe Yoon did not mean to act that way, since she is not bold at all, and right then she knocks, enters, and politely says she brought his suit and shoes. He tells her to leave them and go without turning back, but she continues explaining where she placed everything and mentions the flight issue, only to realize he has fallen asleep. She thinks he must be exhausted and notes it is her first time seeing him this defenseless, telling herself to leave, but she cannot look away. Suddenly, he opens his eyes and asks if she enjoys staring at him, shocking her into apologizing. He tells her it is fine, saying it is not the first time she has looked at him like that, admitting he would be blind not to notice her blushing every time their eyes meet. At first, he did not care, but eventually it started bothering him, and now he cannot ignore it, so he has been wondering whether to send her far away, where he cannot see her or keep her close until he is tired of her. He then calls her full name and calmly asks what she wants him to do. She starts wondering if he is drunk, testing her, or if he maybe feels the same way. And the only thing she knows for sure is that in this moment, the director wants her, even if that feeling disappears by morning. She gathers her courage, tells him she wants to go through with it, and decides she will see this to the end. He lightly teases her about being bad at kissing, and the two spend the night together. The next day at the board meeting, her brain is completely useless because all she can think about is what happened. That afternoon, Yoon enters Kwon's office with a summary report. They exchange a few words, and he casually asks how her body feels. She says she is fine, and he replies that she must be, since she is working normally. She suddenly drops a bomb, saying last night was a mistake, that it only happened because of the atmosphere, and that it will never happen again. She asks to forget everything as if it never happened. Kwon calmly says he expected that answer and asks if there is nothing she wants from him. She says she did not get close to him expecting anything in return. He pauses, then says even if she wants something, she should say it, money, gifts, jewelry, almost anything, because that is the only way he can justify crossing that line with her. Yoon asks what he means, and Kwon calmly wonders why she is shocked, reminding her that since he could not send her away, he plans to keep her around until he gets tired of her. She is about to say he already did enough the night before, but he cuts her off, saying that is only because someone fell asleep first and he was not satisfied. She nervously reminds him they are still at the office, and he smirks and asks why she thinks he gave her work right before clocking out, explaining that at this hour, only 2 people are allowed in his office, and it is just them. Things cross the line again, and later Yoon falls asleep, while Kwon quietly gets dressed and looks at her, thinking how ridiculous it is that he ended up like this with Yoon Seo-ha, when there are many women out there, even more impressive ones. So why her? He realizes he noticed her feelings from the very start, because her awkward behavior made it obvious, and he ignored it since it seemed unimportant, but her easily reddening neck, her strange scent, and now even the way she looks at him keep bothering him. He once planned to send her far away so she would never appear in front of him again, yet somehow they became tangled like this. After crossing the line once, he finds it hard to stop, and just as he finishes thinking, Yoon wakes up, and he casually tells her they will talk later, because it looks like he needs to wash up again. At work, Jin-ah checks on Yoon and asks if she is okay because she looks completely worn out, and Yoon laughs it off saying she could not sleep, she is fine, and just has a lot on her mind. Jin-ah immediately blames work stress, saying Yoon has been doing overtime non-stop, and that the director is honestly too much, calling him a full-time slave driver. Yoon panics and quickly changes the topic, making Jin-ah drop it, while Yoon wonders if her situation is really that obvious. Since that day, she has spent almost every night with the director, and a whole month has already passed. She wonders how long this will last, knowing the longer it goes on, the more she will get hurt, because every time she sees that look in his eyes, her resolve collapses. He clearly does not love her, yet it feels like he wants her. Jin-ah suddenly snaps her out of her thoughts by asking if she is free this weekend, and Yoon says she has no plans. Jin-ah's eyes light up as she suggests a blind date, explaining that a guy saw Yoon's photo on her phone, fell instantly, and has been begging to meet her, adding that he has a good background, a solid job, and looks great. She asks if Yoon is seeing anyone, and when Yoon says no, Jin-ah insists they would look perfect together and suggests dinner this weekend, but right then, they spot the director. He calmly tells Yoon that after meeting the chairman, he will head straight to the airport, and she should come to the lobby in 20 minutes, then walks away like nothing happened. Jin-ah freaks out, asking how long he was standing there, because she thought he was already on a business trip, and Yoon explains that the chairman must have summoned him. Minutes later in the car, Yoon sits quietly while Kwon drives, asking where the driver is, and he replies that the driver is waiting at the airport, and she can return with him later. Yoon feels like his tone is unusually cold today, then tells herself she is imagining things and should focus on work, since he has another secretary anyway. So why is he driving her himself? She eventually falls asleep, and Kwon looks at her and smiles. She wakes up to find they are already in the parking lot, startled, while he calmly asks if she slept well. She apologizes for dozing off and offers to walk him in, but he tells her to stay in the car since the driver will arrive soon. Before leaving, he hands her a black card and tells her that when he returns in 3 days, he will only attend a dinner and go straight home, arriving before 9, so she should come to his place and wait for him, and make sure she gets enough sleep so he does not have to hear complaints about being a slave driver. He leaves, and Yoon sits there stunned, realizing this is starting to feel way more serious than she expected. Yoon returns to the office feeling heavy, thinking that although she has delivered documents to the front of the director's house many times, she has never actually gone inside, and now he invited her to his house instead of a hotel. And since he is coming back on Saturday, with Sunday free, her brain starts imagining a whole weekend together. Before she can spiral further, she hears someone calling for her, walks in, and freezes because it is the director's mother. Yoon greets her politely, hides the black card like her life depends on it, and answers questions about Kwon's business trip, casually mentioning his return time and free Sunday, which makes his mother very happy. The mood shifts when the mother says she wanted to tell Yoon first, explaining that Chairman Kang from Daekyun Group contacted her to arrange a marriage meeting between his daughter Yena and Kwon. She is clearly thrilled, talking about how Yena fell for Kwon at first sight, already calls her mother, brought gifts, is beautiful and polite, and how this match would secure Kwon's future as the top boss, while shading the useless eldest son on the side. She says the meeting is basically a formality and asks Yoon to give this special attention, reminding her to make sure Kwon wears the custom suit she will send. Just before leaving, she casually asks if Kwon is seeing anyone, and Yoon says no, earning a relieved smile and a warning that no strange women should complicate things before the marriage. The mother thanks Yoon warmly, praising her for lasting where other secretaries could not, and says she will be counting on her in the future too. Days later, Kwon finally returns, stuck at a long dinner with men arguing that ability matters more than birth order, while he keeps checking the time, clearly desperate to go home. He finally escapes, gets home, and thinks Yoon must be there waiting like always, probably asleep again, but when he enters the bedroom, all he finds is a neatly placed suit with a note, and the silence hits harder than expected. Kwon reads the note and realizes it is his suit for the marriage meeting tomorrow, scheduled for 2 p.m., at the L Hotel on the second-floor restaurant, and the letter clearly says that from today onward, Yoon will no longer see him for personal reasons, she will pretend nothing ever happened between them, stay completely silent, and hopes he rests well. Back at Yoon's apartment, she eats but suddenly gets a stomach ache, confused because she did eat properly, then checks the time and assumes Kwon has already read the note, and since he did not contact her, he must have accepted it too. She tells herself this ending is for the best before her feelings grow deeper, just as her phone buzzes with a shocking notification, a deposit of 300 million won. Shocked, Yoon rushes to Kwon's place and demands to know why he sent that money, and he casually asks if he needs a reason. She says she cannot accept that amount without one, and he coldly replies that she should think of it as payment for the nights they spent together. She is hurt and tells him he did not need to go that far, she would never cause trouble or expose anything, so the money is unnecessary. He calmly asks why he should trust her, reminding her that this was not a one-time thing. They were together almost every day, so what was her reason? The truth hits her hard, she stayed because she liked him, because her heart shook every time he looked at her, and when she finally admits it, he tells her that is exactly why she should take the money, because he did not feel the same way. And this way, everything stays clean and fair, saying money is more reliable than feelings that can change anytime, and if the amount is not enough, she can ask for more. Yoon walks home feeling completely crushed, knowing she expected the ending but not this cold, the warmth from last night now gone, her chest hurting like it is being torn apart, thinking this is really how it ends. We jump into a flashback where Yoon is still living at an orphanage, getting bullied badly by jealous girls who even pushed and hit her because boys liked her. To avoid more trouble, she stayed outside in the freezing cold until they calmed down, thinking that since her parents already left her, maybe struggling so hard just to survive was pointless. Just then, a man appeared and gently covered her with his coat, saying her clothes stood out from far away, so he thought she was waiting for someone urgently. He guessed she ran out from the orphanage and told her that running away would not change anything, that instead of giving up, she should build strength, endure, survive, and one day stand tall, because sinking into despair would not make anyone understand her pain. She quietly said she would go back inside. He lightly tapped her head, and walked away like a mysterious hero. Days later, she learned his name was Kwon Do-yoon, and that he had visited the orphanage for a sponsorship event that day. Years later, she met him again, and even though he did not remember her at all, just watching him from afar made her heart and nerves go wild. As his secretary, she discovered he was a cold man who cared only about work, yet pushed himself harder than anyone else, and the man who unknowingly changed her future with a few honest words slowly became the center of her world. His sharp eyes, deep voice, long fingers, and quiet presence all became reasons she fell deeper for him. In a world that had always been harsh and cold to her, that brief warmth meant everything, and now she knows she has to let it go. Back in the present, Kwon sits at a restaurant, clearly bothered by recent events, when his mother calls to remind him about the meeting, checking if he has left yet, and he replies that he has already arrived, making her relieved as she happily says it would be hard to find better conditions than this match in the future. Kwon dreams about Yoon boldly asking to get close to him, and he wakes up confused, wondering why on earth his brain would create a dream like that. The next morning at the office, Jin greets Yoon and immediately notices her puffy eyes, offering to grab ice for a cold compress, but right then Kwon walks in, they greet him politely, and he walks past them like a walking iceberg. Jin loudly complains, asking if smiling would actually hurt him, and even asks Yoon if he feels colder than usual today, while Yoon just says she does not know. Inside, Yoon worries he might notice her swollen eyes, then almost laughs at herself for caring, thinking maybe this is better, because now she can clearly see she means nothing to him, and can finally let go without regrets. In Kwon's office, he keeps thinking about Yoon and gets annoyed at himself for losing focus over something so pointless, deciding that if this keeps bothering him, he should just transfer her to another team. But then he gets a call from Yena. She cheerfully says she was thinking of him and asks if he has lunch plans, and he shuts it down saying he has a schedule. She tries for dinner, and he says he will be working late before hanging up. At lunch, Jin eats with Yoon and asks why she is drinking lemonade instead of tea, and Yoon shrugs saying she has been craving cold, refreshing things lately. Nearby co-workers start gossiping about the director and Yena being seen together at El Hotel, saying they dated in college, and that becoming Daegyeng Group's son-in-law is basically winning the lottery, while others argue Yena is the lucky one because of Kwon's looks and skills. Jin whispers that she feels sorry for the woman marrying such a cold man, saying she would suffocate living with someone like that, and Yoon quietly ignores it all and says she needs to stop by the hospital. Yoon visits the doctor and explains that she has been feeling bloated for days, keeps gagging without actually throwing up, feels unusually heavy, and has zero energy, and before giving her any medicine, the doctor calmly asks if there's a chance she might be pregnant. Panic mode activates. Yoon rushes to take a home test and nearly drops it when it comes back positive, even though she has always been careful, and she starts spiraling, thinking about that one time in Jeju, and wondering how this could even be possible. She tells herself not to jump to conclusions and decides to visit a specialist after work for proper confirmation, but her brain is already screaming, what if it is real, what is she supposed to do, and how would she even face the director? She convinces herself to act normal for now, especially since things at work have finally gone back to being professional, and his marriage is already planned. She goes to Kwon's office with meeting minutes, and of course, he flips through them and immediately criticizes her, asking if she fell asleep during the meeting because the notes become a mess halfway, and the numbers are wrong. She apologizes and says it was a mistake, instantly realizing she just used the excuse he hates the most, and he shuts it down, saying with her 2 years of experience, this is not a mistake, but a focus problem, asking if she is not embarrassed to brush it off so casually, then orders her to rewrite everything and do better. She accepts it quietly and returns to her desk, where Jin asks if they should leave together, but Yoon says she still has work to finish, so Jin leaves. Not long after, Yoon starts feeling dizzy and decides to rest her head for just 5 minutes, but in Kwon's office, He notices she has not returned with the revised work and goes to check, only to find her asleep at her desk, leaving him completely confused because of all people, Yoon is the last one who would ever ignore instructions and sleep on the job. Kwon thinks to himself that even though he and Yoon spent the night together, she still shows up at work looking flawless. Lately, however, she keeps fighting sleep, which is strange because she has never looked tired during work hours before. He then remembers the drive to the airport, when Yoon suddenly opened her eyes, got shocked seeing him, and wondered if she had fallen asleep again. Just then, Yoon walks in and calls his name, making Yoon wonder if this is the woman the chairman mentioned. Kwon asks Yoon why she showed up without calling, and Yoon casually says he mentioned working late, so she brought dinner. She then notices Yoon. Yoon greets her politely, and Kwon tells Yoon to go home. Yoon reminds him that she still has the meeting notes, but he says it is fine and sends her off. As Yoon is leaving, Yoon stops her, asks if she is the director's secretary, and asks her name. She then smiles and drops a shocker, saying she is marrying Kwon, and that they will probably see each other often. Yoon stays calm, says they will meet another time, and leaves like nothing happened. Kwon immediately lectures Yoon about basic manners, and says she should call before coming over. Yoon argues that they are getting married, but Kwon shuts it down by saying not yet, and adds that even after marriage, he would still find that behavior unpleasant. He then tells her to leave because he is busy. Yoon stays confident, says she knows his heart is not open yet, but she has plenty of time, apologizes sweetly, tells him to eat the food, says she will text him when she gets home, and leaves. Meanwhile, Yoon is at the gynecologist, thinking that Kwon and Yoon look perfect together, imagining them having dinner, or spending time somewhere fancy, then telling herself to stop thinking about it. The nurse calls her in. Just when you think the scene is over, Kwon, sitting in his car and wondering why Yoon will not leave his thoughts, looks up and sees her at the same clinic, and that is when the dramatic manhwa music kicks in. Yoon is at home reading a book. She closes it and looks outside, and it is still raining. It looks like it will rain all weekend. It has been a long time since she had such a peaceful weekend, and now everything finally feels settled. She picks up her pregnancy handbook and wonders if she should tell the director, but then remembers what he once said and thinks to herself that a child from a meaningless night would never be accepted by him. She recalls what the orphanage director once told her, that she was abandoned in the middle of winter with her umbilical cord still attached and nearly lost her life, and she wonders how a mother could do that. Maybe that is why winters have always felt lonely to her, but she promises herself she will never be that kind of mother. No matter what happens, she will protect her child. With that resolve, she writes her resignation letter. The next morning, she hands the letter to Kwon. He asks for her reason, and she calmly says the job is not well suited for her anymore. She apologizes for the sudden notice and assures him there will be no disruption in work. She adds that she will properly train her replacement and complete the full handover. Inside, she wonders if she said everything naturally and if he will accept it. Kwon then says he has one question and asks why she went to the gynecologist. She is shocked that he knows. She tells him it is a personal matter and not something he should be concerned about. He asks again if she is sure it does not concern him. She cannot answer. He stands up and asks if the question is difficult, saying that if it truly has nothing to do with him, she should be able to answer in one sentence. Seeing her freeze, he realizes his guess is right and asks again. Knowing there is no escape, she admits she is carrying his child. She says it would have been discovered sooner or later anyway. She promises she would never do anything that could harm him, says she will not ask for money or cause any trouble, and insists she will take full responsibility and keep it a secret for life. She even offers to sign a contract if he does not believe her. Kwon says he does not know whether she is being smart or foolish, because instead of asking for something huge, all she wants to do is run away. He accepts her resignation for now, says she cannot continue working while pregnant anyway, and sends her home. As Yoon walks back, She overthinks everything, wondering what the director could be thinking, knowing he would never want anything that could become his weakness, and questioning whether she reassured him enough that the child would never interfere with his life. Just then, Kang suddenly drives up beside her, calls her name, and says he finally found her. Yoon greets Kang, and he asks if she is heading home from work. She says yes, and he immediately tells her to get in because he will give her a ride. She politely refuses, saying it is fine, but he ignores that, says she does not look well, and tells her not to push herself, so she gets in. He drops her off, and she says she will get out there and thanks him for the ride. He looks around and comments that she lives in a more modest neighborhood than he expected, then casually asks if Kwon is treating her well. She asks what he means, and he bluntly says she knows Kwon is marrying his sister, right? She says she knows. He then asks if Kwon at least gave her any consolation money. In her head, Yoon wonders if Kang knows something, but decides he is just assuming things, so she says she has no idea what he is talking about. Kang laughs and says she does not need to hide it, because from what he saw, it was obvious she and Kwon had that kind of relationship, and that this is how the world works, dating on the side and marriage separately. Yoon cuts him off and says, with all due respect, she should leave now. Kang scoffs and says Kwon is cold, but he did not know he was also cheap, then suggests she give him, Kang, a chance instead. Yoon begs him to stop, and he proudly says he is not the kind of man who pretends nothing happened, unlike Kwon, because he has responsibility. Yoon says she will pretend she did not hear any of that, gets out of the car, and leaves. Kang watches her go and thinks that for a secretary she is acting way too proud, and wonders if General Manager Lee has her number. Meanwhile, Kwon is driving and replaying Yoon's words in his head, thinking how even after their night together, after he sent her money, and even after she realized she was carrying a child, she never asked him for anything. He calls her pitiful, tells himself they are simply walking their own paths, and wonders why he is so angry, and what he should do about the child. At a family dinner, an older woman happily says it is nice to have everyone together, and asks if Kwon's sister-in-law is unwell, because her complexion looks dull, and she should take better care of herself. Kwon's mother agrees and says she must be stressed about the marriage, since the Daekyong group chairman likes Kwon so much that he wants to skip the engagement, and go straight to the wedding, and the schedule is insanely tight. She apologizes to Youngwook, saying it looks like his younger brother is getting married first, but Youngwook smiles and says it is a happy occasion. Their father jumps in and tells Youngwook he should hurry and find a partner too, and Youngwook obediently agrees. Kwon's mother happily says she will arrange a good match for him as well, then praises Yena endlessly, saying Kwon has no idea how lucky he is to have such a virtuous and well-mannered bride. As everyone is smiling, Kwon thinks to himself that he will regret this moment one day, and just like that, he stands up and drops a bomb, saying there is something he needs to say, and that they should consider the marriage talks with the Daekyong group completely cancelled. Kwon is driving and replaying what he told his parents about cancelling the marriage with the Daekyong group, clearly saying he will take full responsibility for any trouble that comes from it. His mother panics and asks what he is talking about, and he calmly says he will explain everything later because he has something urgent to handle, then leaves like a full-on drama lead. Back in the present, his phone keeps ringing because his mother is already stressed, and now there is a mountain of chaos to clean up. There is even a chance he could be kicked out before facing his father's terrifying temper, but he tells himself he refuses to become like the father he deeply despises. Meanwhile, Yoon is at home staring at her food, saying she cannot eat anymore, but still forcing herself to take a few bites when her phone suddenly rings. She checks and sees it is Kwon, and immediately wonders why he is calling at this time, because should he not be at a family gathering? She answers, he asks where she is, she says she is home, and he tells her he will be there soon because he has something to say. She asks what it is, but he says he will explain when he arrives and hangs up, leaving her stressed and confused. Her thoughts spiral, remembering how he once said he does not trust emotions because they are unpredictable, and she starts to fear that for someone like him, the safest way to deal with an unexpected situation like this is to erase it completely. Kwon arrives outside her place, and Yoon goes out to meet him. He asks if she lives there, she says yes, and he looks around, saying the place is about 13 pyong, which she calmly agrees with. Then he suddenly tells her she needs to move out as soon as possible, completely shocking her, and making her remember Kang's words. She asks why he is really here, and he says he has something important to say, and since the decision has already been made, it is best to move forward quickly. She firmly tells him she has no intention of giving up this child, that she understands his concerns, but she promised this would never cause trouble for him, and no matter what decision he makes, she will have the child and raise them herself. Kwon calmly asks how she plans to do that, saying raising a child is not simple, she will not be able to work for a while, she already resigned, her income was small to begin with. So what money will she use? What happens if she gets sick? Who will take care of the child? She has no family to rely on, and her house looks like it might fall apart if someone breathes too hard. He asks if she is truly confident she can raise the child comfortably, and just as well as anyone else, saying that if she is, she should do it on her own, but if not, she should listen to him. Then he drops the biggest plot twist of all, saying that before coming there, he already spoke to his family, told them he is not marrying King Yena, and that instead, they should get married. Yoon stares at him and asks what he is even talking about. Kwon calmly says the first thing they need to do is move her somewhere else, because a child cannot grow well in a place like this, and it is better to sort everything out before rumors start spreading. Yoon says she honestly does not understand a single word he is saying. He asks which part is confusing, and she answers, all of it, because none of it makes sense. Kwon says there is a child involved now, so taking responsibility is the obvious thing to do. Yoon fires back that this only applies to normal couples, and they are not one, they just spent a few nights together, so getting married because of a child makes no sense at all. Kwon says he does not see what part is strange. A child exists, so what more reason does he need? Yoon asks him directly if he loves her, or at least likes her a little. He asks if that really matters right now, and explains that in marriage what usually matters is family background, money, status, and ability, and the only reason strong enough to outweigh all of that is the child she's carrying. Yoon realizes that he wants to marry her purely out of responsibility. She thanks him for being willing to take responsibility for the child, but before she can finish, he cuts her off and says this is not something to be stubborn about. He tells her that if she truly cares about the child, she should think practically, not emotionally, and carefully consider which choice is best for the child. He adds that she does not need to come to work anymore, because things will get noisy very soon. Back at Kwon's house, his parents are waiting. His father asks if there is any word from him, and his mother says she will try calling again. A maid suddenly walks in and announces that the director has arrived. Kwon enters, and his mother immediately asks what is going on and whether he fought with Yena. Kwon calmly explains that there is a woman carrying his child, and that Yoon Seo-ha, his secretary, is pregnant. His mother is shocked and asks if he really means his secretary. He says yes, and adds that he intends to take full responsibility for both her and the child. He admits it was unexpected, but he has no intention of avoiding it. He says he knows this situation must be confusing, but he hopes they will understand his decision, and that he plans to rush the wedding and hold the ceremony before the year ends. His father coldly says it seems he expected too much from him and walks away. His mother begs him to think again, asking if it makes any sense to cancel his marriage with Yena because of Yoon, and tells him to apologize to his father and go through with the original marriage. Kwon asks what he is supposed to do about Yoon then, whether he should abandon her like his father once did, or tell her he will not take responsibility and force her to get rid of the baby, just like his father once demanded from his mother. His mother freezes, remembering those painful words from the past. Kwon apologizes to her, and says that no matter what she says, he has no intention of changing his decision, and he hopes she will let go and give her consent, then he leaves. Meanwhile, Yoon is lying on her bed, replaying every word of her conversation with Kwon, and after a long moment, she finally picks up her phone, calls him, and says she wants to see him right now. Yoon goes to see Kwon, and he asks what she wants to say. She hesitates, then asks that if she is truly certain about her feelings, is it really possible for her to marry him? Kwon replies that if it were impossible, he would not have brought it up in the first place. She points out that the chairman and the chief director will probably oppose it, and he calmly says he will handle that. She just needs to choose what is best for her and the child's future. Yoon admits that if it were only her, she has lived well on her own and believes she could continue to do so, but when it comes to the child, she is not confident, because no matter how hard she tries, there are many things she cannot provide alone, and that scares her. Kwon says he does not see what is so difficult, because she already gave her answer. After a moment, she agrees. He says it is decided then, the wedding planners will handle everything, she does not need to worry about a thing, he will take care of the ring, and before she can process it, he leans in and kisses her. Meanwhile, Yena is looking at rings and wondering which one Kwon will choose, when Kang suddenly walks in. She tells him to look at the time and asks if he drank too much the night before. He snaps back that he did not drink for fun, it was for business, and she does not know everything. He asks if she plans to see Kwon today, and she says yes. He then casually asks about Yoon, which surprises her, and he explains that he met Yoon during an event on Jeju Island. He asks if Yena can get Yoon's number for him. Yena asks why she should, and Kang smirks, saying he will be honest, it bothers him that such a pretty woman is around Kwon, so he will step in for her sake, calling it a win for both of them. Just then, their father calls, and Kang tells Yena to say he is at work. Yena thinks it is annoying, but admits he might be right, and realizes it bothers her more than she expected, so she answers the call. Back at the office, Yoon thinks to herself that Kwon said he was busy with outside schedules, but he is later than expected, and she only came in to finish the handover work. Jinna walks in and asks if Yoon remembers the man she mentioned before, because he has been asking about her several times and even suggested they all eat together. Yoon says she is not in a position to date anyone right now and hopes Jinna can pass that along gently. Jinna apologizes, and Yoon admits she will be quitting soon. Jinna asks why, but before she can answer, Yena suddenly walks in, calls Yoon's name, walks straight up to her, and lashes out, leaving everyone frozen in shock. Please subscribe, like and comment for part 2 and more recap stories. I hope you enjoyed